Yeah, so a little bit of an update. Carrie Jones and Anna Philby had a clash of heads in the warm up from the last game. So we've monitored them over the last couple of days, kind of followed the concussion protocols and made the decision that it would be best for them to return to clubs. So both Carrie and Anna wouldn't be available for the game tomorrow.
I also saw Esther Morgan in a protective boot. You said on Thursday that she was going to have scans. Have you had the results of the scans? What kind of injury has she sustained?
Yeah, so Esther's got an ankle injury. In terms of the detail, the boot is protecting it at the moment so that we can look at further scans to decide the best route for rehab. So at the moment, that boot is protecting with the hope that next week we can find out a little bit more detail around her ankle.
And also the big one, of course, coming out after the game against Iceland was the ACL injury to Hannah Kane. I know you've spoken of your relationship with her and vice versa. Just how difficult is this going to be for her? How confident are you she's going to come back better than ever?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident she's going to come back better than ever. You know, the statement that she released personally over the last couple of days. Obviously, it's devastating news for us. You know, when we got the news, our first reaction is to support her first and foremost. What I do know about Hannah, and you can see that from the statement that she released, is that her mindset is very focused on coming back and being the player that we know she is, and better and even stronger. So we will support her from the very first moment till the moment that she steps back on the pitch with us.
In terms of the games themselves, you've had a couple of days now to reflect on that Iceland defeat. So what have you taken out of it? What have the squad taken out of it?
Yeah, there's certainly still an element of frustration when we look at the performance, the chances that we had. So that frustration that was with us immediately after the game, we've reviewed the game fully, watched the game back, and really taken out the points that we wanted to deliver. We felt like we delivered everything we wanted to, apart from obviously the goals that we didn't score. And that's the stage we're at in terms of in that create phase, in that finish phase. On Friday, for me, there was one team that looked higher ranked than the other from a footballing perspective, and from a long-term perspective, we will stick to those principles and we will make sure that we refine them. And as we move forward, one of my reflections in this Nations League is the steps that we've taken forward as a team and the things that we've had to find out about ourselves at this level, which are the things that we need to find out now so that we can make sure that we really convince not convince in terms of that process for the Euro qualification, in terms of the step-by-step process. It's about now focusing on this final game and making sure that we continue to take those steps.
You've stressed throughout this campaign that performances will come first and this will better prepare you for the Euros. But results, obviously, fans will only see it as results, and it's now 6 defeats on the bounce. Is that quite difficult to contend with, sort of, because the results are such a big part of the game, or are you solely focusing on the performances?
Yeah, I think I've answered this question about 25 times at the moment, and my answer will remain the same in terms of you want to be the best, you've got to play against the best, you've got to push performances, and I've said this, you know, watch us play against these teams, look at the performances. Of course, results are important. We don't want to lose games. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that to go places that you've never been before, and one of the things that I spoke about before the game with the players on Friday, you know, we spoke to Chris Coleman for a reason. Chris talked to us about his journey with that team, the ups and downs, the steps you've got to take, the things that have got to happen for teams to be successful. And if you continue to be successful and there aren't bumps, the bumps help you to get to where you want to be. And playing in this League A of the Nations League is exactly where we wanted to be in terms of the learning. The perspective for me is huge. I've said it a few times in terms of Germany, Denmark, Iceland. These are top teams in Europe. The rankings speak for themselves. So for me, it's about looking at those performances in terms of the question that you asked and looking at what we are producing and how that can take us, like I said, into that next step for Euros qualification.
Looking ahead to Germany, you say you want to have a better second game than the first game against these teams. What do you need to do better against Germany this time around?
Yeah, I think we've set the bar pretty high in terms of our first half performance against Germany. I was very pleased with us from a tactical perspective. You know, we scored a great goal against a very, very good defence. So to set those standards in the second half, we wanted to finish the game in a different way in terms of finishing the game stronger. We've done that in the Denmark game. We did that on Friday. So that will be the aim again, to make sure that we can continue to do that in terms of finishing stronger.
One final one for me. Obviously, this indicates your last game as the Nations League. As a whole, how do you feel it's gone? And do you feel, how much better prepared do you feel ahead of the qualifiers in June?
Yeah, it's been ideal in terms of that preparation. And for me, we've taken steps forward as a team that we wouldn't have found out about ourselves if we were playing in League B. So League A has been exactly what I wanted it to be. Would I have liked some of the results to have been different? Of course. But in terms of those performances, everyone has seen this team take steps, and that playing identity from an in-possession style and doing that against the top nations, that's the mentality and standards that we're setting. And then from an out-of-possession perspective, knowing what it's like to play at this level. And I've said it, our players as individuals, aspiring and being inspired to leave these camps, going away at club, working every day to be a better player, working to play at the highest level of the game. That's my job, to support them to do that day in, day out. So when we come into these environments and we play against the top teams, our players are in a better place to perform. And that sets us not only in a great place for the Euros qualification, but for this team for not only the next 5, 10, 15 years. One of the biggest things that's come out of the Nations League is how the depth in this team has developed. And, you know, for me tomorrow in the Germany game, you'll see that depth. You'll see the players that we've seen grow in the last, 2 years, the last 2.5 years, players who were maybe not playing in the team consistently, and just that rotation that we're able to have now in terms of depth. Thank you, Jack.
Sinead?
Gemma, how is lack of confidence an issue at all with your players right now, and how do you, I guess, make sure that this group doesn't spiral going into next year?
Yeah, the short answer would be no. I think myself and the girls have got a really good perspective on where we are as a team. We're doing some things now that we've never done before. So when you do something new, when you do something for the first time, there's an element of that perspective. When we play in the League A, Nations League again, we will have a different perspective on the expectations. But our expectations have always been to find out what we need to. That's individually as players, that's individually as staff, collectively as a team. And some of the conversations we're having are right along the lines that we want to. We've probably got more confidence as a result of playing against these teams, because honestly, we've come off some games so disappointed around elements of the game. And there are moments in games that we're so disappointed with, and Iceland being the most recent, it's not a confidence issue, it's a disappointment around the fine margins at this level. It's learning about those fine margins. And honestly, they excite us. They excite me as a coach, because the potential of the team has been seen in these games. But what we know is it's from the first minute to the last minute against higher ranked opposition. You will get punished if you don't defend properly. Whereas in the past, when we've maybe played kind of teams who are low ranked than us, we've got away with certain elements to the game. That what we've learnt in this Nations League is the standards are high, you switch off for a moment, you concede a goal. And that's the brutality of playing at the highest level. And that's where we want to play. So we're excited about knowing our potential, and taking the confidence into next year is key for us.
You mentioned the defence there, Gemma. One headline after the Iceland game was how many chances Wales had in the first half, but there has been a lot of talks about the defence as well. You think back to that first game against Germany and conceding those 3 goals so late on. How do you avoid that situation again tomorrow night, and do you feel like your players are better equipped by now compared to what they were?
Yeah, of course. I hear a lot of talk around our defensive stability, in the past, and where we are as a team. And I think it's fair to say, respectfully, if you're sitting in a lower block, in low formations, when you are close to each other, you will be able to defend better. If there are 11 players in one half and they don't move out of the half, you will be able to defend better. We're not a team who's going to do that. There was some excellent foundations in this team. We're building on them to qualify for a European Championship. So from my perspective, defensively, we're very stable. It's about learning, like I said, in the Germany game, the penalty changes momentum. And once momentum changes against a top team, it's very difficult to get it back. So what we've learned is in the Denmark game, which was obviously immediately after the Germany game, we finished that game stronger. We finished Friday night's game stronger. We've spoke about how we want to do that. And it's an element of concentration. It's a mix of that. It's a mix of tactical adaptations as well. So we've spoke about both of those things, and you'll see that tomorrow evening in terms of how we plan to finish stronger, because it's something that we want to have in our pocket, so that when we play in playoffs, when we play in this League A again, that we can do.
In terms of the squad, Gemma, of course, tomorrow night there's nothing riding on the game. Is this going to be a perfect opportunity to give some of the young players a chance? Are we going to see some of them starting tomorrow night, perhaps?
Yeah, it's a brilliant opportunity for us to continue momentum. The big focus will be on performance tomorrow. So the measure of success will be, we will be coming here to perform. And in terms of the depth in the team, I know that I've got that depth. So in terms of that selection, it's a great opportunity for me to look at the starting players and the wider squad as well, and make some decisions around how we want to best use them, because playing Germany doesn't come around, every day. So playing against this level of opposition, my job is to inspire these players to go away, to want to play at the highest level, and playing Germany tomorrow night is an excellent opportunity to do that. Yeah.
Gemma, you mentioned a few times that you've found out certain things about yourselves in this campaign. Just wondering if you could enlighten us a bit on what some of those things might be.
Yeah, certainly from an in-possession perspective, we've scored goals against every single team in League A, 2 against Denmark. The plan is to score tomorrow evening. So in terms of our attacking play in final third, I think there's a bit of a reality when we play when we've played in previous qualification campaigns. We've won games 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. At this level, you don't score 3, 4, 5. You score 1 or 2. So we've learned that we can score against these top teams and not score fluke goals, score goals that we are planning to score, executing. What I've learned about the players is that their final third play and the principles, they will do that against anyone. So whether it's a low-ranked opposition, we're brave enough to do it. So I've learned that in the final phase, we're going to be brave enough to work in those moments against the best defences in Europe. So certainly I've learned that. I think from a first minute to a last minute perspective, we've learned that you have to work from the very first minute to the very last minute, particularly the Denmark home game and the Germany away game, how those last 10 minutes looked, what that looked like. And like I said, in the Denmark game and then the Iceland game we've just played, we finished stronger in both of those games. So it wasn't necessarily a physical part of the game. It was a concentration, it was a focus and a tactical piece as well. So they would probably be the two things that come into my mind in terms of the final third play. And then from a defensive perspective, concentration perspective. And then finally, I go back to that point about inspiring our players. When you play at the highest level, you know what the physical demands are, you know what the psychological demands are, the tactical demands, the technical demands. Playing games back to back at this level, there's not a moment to switch off. And previously, this group we've played France, and then we'd again respectively go to a lower ranked team such as Kazakhstan or a Greece, and that's not the same level of preparation, detail, recovery. And these girls know that they need to live it every day. It's not about turning it on at a time to play against a top team. It's about being that player all year round.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of perhaps a similar question. I know you've mentioned that this campaign will stand you in good stead for the Euros, but obviously materially it means you're going to have a slightly tougher route to that tournament. So could you just unpack why this campaign has prepared you better for that tournament?
Yeah, I mean, the route to qualification for the Euros is a complicated one if you've watched the video on the website. From what I take from it, we will be obviously in League B in April, June, July. Now, to finish at top of League B will be the goal. That will get us through to a semi-final. And what I know is if we were in League A, we would have played a League C team in the semi-final. The reality is we'll play more likely a B3 team. Now, the difference between a C1 and a B3, who knows? There's so many different teams in Europe and how those pots are spread. I'm not convinced there would have been a better place to be. What I do know is being in Group B, that we are the top seed, so the expectation is to top the group. So from a mentality, momentum perspective, I actually prefer that. I think that sends us into a great space with that momentum going into a semi-final of a playoff. And then if I've read it right, which I think I have, after the semi-final, it's an open seed. So in that final, should we get there, it will be an open seed. So we could effectively get another League B team, a League C team if one of them has got out of the semi-final. It's a potluck in the final. So from my perspective, whichever way we finished, I knew we would have a different way to look at it. But from my perspective, we can build some great momentum going into those playoffs.
Just lastly, talking a lot about fine margins here in this league, I get the impression that's what you're alluding to a lot of the time here. With the squad in the position where you are, is this the best way for these players to learn, to experience that if they do switch off for half a second at this level, they get punished? Yeah,
it's the best way. It's the very best way. It's the best way to learn around tactical execution as well. We have a game plan. We stick to the game plan. If there are moments where we drift away from it, you get punished. It's why I enjoy playing against the higher ranked teams, because you want to prepare to play against the higher ranked teams. My mentality is to always to perform, deliver the game plan, make sure we're playing at the highest level, and the players are thriving off that. They're recognising what they want to do to improve. And I've said it maybe 4 or 5 times now, but their inspiration. You can see there's no coincidence that our players are playing well in their leagues. Whether that's WSL, Championship or NWSL, our players are stepping up and playing because they know the impact that it will have here and that longer term vision for us.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Just one from me, Gemma. To recover from one ACL takes a huge mental strength to come back from 2, doubly so. But I'd imagine you're confident that Hannah has made the right step to sort of come back from it.
Yeah, she is. I've no doubt in my mind. You know, we're already on the track to her making that recovery in terms of putting things in place for her to take steps forward. You know, she's got a wonderful club in Leicester who are there to support her, and our collaboration with Leicester will be high, whatever she needs to get back. And, you know, that is from every aspect. We will make sure that she's got everything she needs. Like you said, it's a huge challenge. She knows the challenge. She's had some time to think about it. And like I said in her statement, I think it says it all in terms of where she's at, her mindset. And she knows she's got everybody around her. So it was, like I said, devastating news for us. But I'm absolutely sure that she will be supported to the highest level. And I look forward to seeing her in a shirt. And in that day, you know, these are the things that they bring you closer together as a team as well, because it's not nice to see this happening to one of our players. So, you know, the goal for us now is to qualify for Euro 2025 for Hannah. So she said qualify for Euros and I'll be there. And I'm like, okay, I'll try to do that.
Following on from what Phil said, Hannah, is it the same knee as last time?
No,
No.
other leg.
The qualifiers next year, I'm guessing there's no chance she can be involved in those?
No, I don't think so, no.
No.
I mean, the typical ACL recovery is 9 months, so we're looking at September 2024. So there's a possibility around some playoffs, but what I've spoken to Hannah about is we know this process and we know this road well, so we're going to work through it camp by camp. She'll come into some camps, I absolutely know that. I know she'll be with us next year at some points. September would be the target, but what we learned from a previous ACL is to chunk it up in terms of time, because the last time she did it, it was a similar time for playoffs. So the playoffs will be in October next year. So there is a chance, but there's no pressure on kind of how we get there with her.
How much of a loss will she be for you given the qualifiers next year? Because every time she has put a red shirt on, she is created an impression.
Yeah, she is. She's a huge loss. You know, she's a great player. Again, the squad that we have, we've got so many great players stepping up in that position. So from my perspective, whether it was in, you know, the 9 position, the 7 or the 11 position, we've got great depth. But without doubt, you know, Hannah is a loss, but she's a long-term prospect for this team, and we'll get her back as soon as we can.
No Hannah, no Carrie Jones tomorrow. As in, is there a chance Elise Hughes could start after what we saw from her on Friday night?
Yeah, Elise is one of those players that, you know, is consistently stepping up at club level. It was great to see her score the goal, you know, on Friday night. And like I said, across our front 3 positions or our front 4 positions, we got so much competition for places. So I'm really pleased for Elise in terms of that momentum. And there'll always be opportunities in this team.
And just final one from me. How tough has it been to lift the players for this game after what happened on Friday?
Yeah, it's not tough to lift them at all. The conversations we have, you know, we watch back the Iceland game, and it's disappointment and frustration around the things that we're doing well. We're not watching games and going, well, we're not playing well. You know, we're not doing the things that we want to do. It's the frustration of looking at those fine margins that I spoke about. We're a pass away, we're a touch away from, you know, scoring 1, 2, 3 goals. We need that momentum. That tip will happen. I do believe that. And I think the girls, it's never about picking them. It's almost about keeping that perspective on the longer term vision and recognising what we're doing well, because I believe that in every one of these games we've performed for a significant time of the game. And what we've learned in terms of the margins, both attacking and defending, has been key for us. Thanks, Diolch.
Yeah, it's obviously always tough to lose a game, and you know we knew we needed to win that game by 2 goals or more. But there was positives to take from it. I think, you know, our performance, we stuck to the game plan. It just obviously we couldn't get the goals that we needed, and they break on us, they counter attack, get 1 goal, and it does change your mindset. It changes the game. It's close to half time, and yeah, they weren't on top, but they got a goal just before half time, which always works in their favour then.
It's been, I guess you guys probably feel like you're answering a lot of the same questions again, because there's been similar patterns in every game, but I guess in terms of this campaign, do you think this has been one of your toughest periods as a Wales player? Yeah,
definitely. I think playing the top teams, you know, back to back is always hard. It's been good though. It's been good challenges, I think, for the whole squad to realise where we're at, where we've progressed, where we need to still progress. And playing top teams, you know, like Germany, Iceland, Denmark, they're all very good teams, but all very different as well. So we've had to learn how to deal with that. And yeah, hopefully, going forward for the new year, it will help us in the long run. I know obviously at the time it's not nice to lose games, but it's always about the bigger picture, and these games are always going to be a learning curve for us.
I guess it's almost no pain, no gain, isn't it? That's been the theme.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're used to suffering a lot of pain. But also I said that after the game the other day, like the girls didn't give up, and that just shows the character of this team that, yes, we're losing 1-0 or 2-0, but we keep going, and we managed to get a goal at the end, and that's the positives that we can take from those type of games.
I asked Gemma if she sensed that, if the team were low on confidence at the moment, and her answer was no in terms of tomorrow night's performance, though. Just how much would a really positive performance help confidence levels going into the next round next year?
Yeah, I think us as players, we're realistic as well. We knew it was going to be tough. We're playing these top teams, and we have to set standards, but we also have to be realistic. And we're on a good page. We're on a good run of where we need to go for next year. And what more, playing Germany at Swansea now tomorrow night is one to end the year, hopefully in a positive way.
And playing Germany, obviously one of the best in the world. It's a great opportunity for senior players, but also young players, because there's been a lot of discussion about squad rotation. Should we be seeing more of the youngsters having a chance? And tomorrow night could potentially be a really big opportunity for some of them.
Yeah, obviously I can't go into detail with who's playing and whatnot, but yeah, it's always, for you guys as well, you always want to see the youngsters coming through, and they're going to be introduced at the right time, and a few of them have over this last few games. I think it's all about timing for the younger ones, and they're doing everything they can at club, which is going to help us as a national team. So the younger ones are on a good run, and they're raring to go when they get the call up.
Finally, one player who sadly won't be there tomorrow night is Hannah Kane. Just as a teammate, what are your thoughts on her injury? Because to have one ACL is one thing, but to have another one, it's pretty tough going. But I know she's a tough cookie.
She is a tough cookie. Yeah, it's obviously really disappointing for her. She came back from her ACL flying, and obviously she had a little setback with the hamstring 2 camps ago. Came back in and was in a good place, doing well for club as well. But yeah, huge blow for us. Everyone knows that. But like you said, she's a tough cookie, and she's raring to go with her rehab already. She's counting down the days till her operation so she can get going on that.
Is this a bit of a strange emotion for the players at the moment? Because this is clearly the level that you want to be playing at. You're probably sick to the back teeth of coming here and explaining to us why you're taking positives from ultimately defeat. So how do you sort of marry the two?
Well, we've never played top teams back to back, every 3 weeks before. So that's a new learning curve for us. When you go to major tournaments, that's when it normally happens, and we've never been at that stage yet. So that'll help us, hopefully, like I said, going into next year and the year after. But yeah, to be playing Germany, 3 weeks apart, and then a Denmark and Iceland, it is tough games, and we've got a small squad really compared to where their players are playing, and it's all about our growth and our determination going into next year now.
Yes, you talk about the growth, that obviously involves a lot of younger players. You, as a senior player in the squad, have got perspective and can see the bigger picture as to what's going on. When you're earlier in your career, it's quite difficult to do that. I just wonder if you've been having conversations with those players to keep them on message and focus throughout this campaign.
Yeah, the younger ones coming through are great. They've got great mindset. They give everything every day, and some of them, they always want to play, which is great. They're pushing every single day in training, and some of them are not far off getting starts for the senior team. And like Elise coming on the other day and scoring her first goal for Wales is such a massive thing for her. She's doing great at club. And then, like I said, when she gets the chance for Wales, if she can produce those performances, then it's great for the whole squad and also herself individually.
Yeah, and Gemma's mentioned that you can take a lot from this campaign going into the qualification for the Euros. As player, obviously the results haven't been there, but as player, I'm just curious for your perspective and what you will have taken and what you think others might have taken from regularly playing against teams at the top level.
Yeah, I think we've learnt very quickly. We've had to. And the one positive is that we're scoring against these top teams, and we've never done that in the past. We're creating. Yes, obviously we're conceding more than we'd like to, but to be able to score against these top teams, you know, in the past we've never done that before. So that is a real positive, because, you know, you see it in the Euro Championships and World Cup finals and stuff, that other teams can't score against these type of teams, and we're doing that. So that is a real positive for us right now.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey Sophie,
Hello.
I know the results haven't gone your way, but has this been in any way an enjoyable experience as a squad to sort of be together, play against these big teams and learn from it?
Yeah, it's always enjoyable playing for Wales, you know, whether you win or lose. And we, like I said, we knew it was always going to be a tough, you know, 6 games and challenge, you know, against the best. But I've always said you want to be challenged against the best to see, you know, where we are individually, as a unit, as a collective. And I think that we are learning from those games.
Just building on the point on Hannah, she's only 24, but I think this is her 3rd serious injury now. Just mentally, how much will that take out of her? But how confident are you that she'll come back to the levels we're so used to seeing of her?
Yeah, it's always going to be tough mentally with such a big injury. But she is also a very positive person, that, you know, she's back at the hotel reading books and, you know, trying to improve herself individually. Obviously she can't do it on the pitch right now, but she's going to grow as a person from this. And the one positive is that she's been there before. She knows, you know, the rough guidelines of when she'll be back on the pitch, when she'll be able to run, and etc, etc. So I think that always helps in your mindset when you know kind of you've been through it before.
One final one for me. On Germany, one player you didn't face out there was Alexander Pop. She's going to be back for this one tomorrow night. Just what makes her such a good player, and how difficult is she to contain?
Yeah, she's an incredible player. Such a great career she's had for, you know, club and country. And yeah, she's just a presence, isn't she? You just look at her and you think, you know, she's going to create something. She's going to get a spark going for the team. But again, it'll be great for our backline to test themselves against her, because she's very different to Schuller, who played in the last game in the 9.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Yeah. Just over a year ago, you almost qualified for the World Cup. You know, 14 months later, you're on this disappointing run. As in, how do you assess what the team is going through at the moment?
Yeah, like I said, it is a disappointing run, but we're playing the top teams back to back to back. So it's, you know, we have to be realistic where we're at right now. And if we were at a major tournament, would we be as disappointed with these results? But we've got there, you know. So when we get to those major tournaments, we want to do better than what we're doing right now. So we're going to be able to learn from these games when we reach a major tournament.
Has this campaign been a reality check and a reminder maybe how tough international football can be, especially when you're playing those top-ranked teams?
Yeah, I think we are realistic, and we know we were the underdog in every single game. And, you know, we didn't shy away from that. We always knew it was going to be tough games against these 3 oppositions. But like I said, we gave it our all. Every single game, we never gave up, and there are, you know, some positives to take from those games.
And just the Nations League in general, how much have you, I know the results haven't been what you wanted, but how much have you enjoyed the competition, and is it something that you welcome in the women's game?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been different. It's obviously different to just playing friendlies, and there's more on the line, you know, for teams, to whether you stay in the group, whether you don't, whether you get a playoff position, whether you get an Olympic position. So it's different for every team. But yeah, it has been enjoyable, and like I've always said, you have to play the best to see where you're at.
Just no more questions? Okay, thanks everyone. We bring in Harald.